More than 160 million Indians need to be worried right now. Over 160 million Indians have downloaded the government's flagship Aarogya Setu app. The app stores sensitive personal data in bulk for contact tracing to tackle COVID-19, and the government has just revealed that it has ignored its own safeguards that were meant to protect your data privacy. On the 2nd of April 2020, the National Informatic Centre or NIC announced the Aarogya Setu contact tracing app developed by a unique public-private partnership to help India fight against COVID-19. As the app collected sensitive personal data from each person, from their health status to live tracking their location, there were concerns that this data could be misused if it fell into the wrong hands. Addressing those concerns, on 11th May 2020, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and NIC announced the Aarogya Setu Data Access and Knowledge Sharing Protocol. This included safeguards on how data collected by NIC through the app could be shared. If implemented, it would have meant the app data couldn't be misused even by private companies who use this to target you with ads or allow unrelated government agencies to conduct digital surveillance. Unfortunately, in its responses to an RTI request by independent journalist and RTI activist Saurav Das, the NIC has revealed that even though it's been nearly 6 months since the release of the protocol, many of these vital safeguards have not been put in place. So let's take a look at them one by one. Safeguard 1. The paper trail. NIC is supposed to document the sharing of data and maintain a list of agencies and persons with whom such data has been shared. According to the Vidhi Centre for Legal Policy, which helped draft the protocol, this was meant to ensure a paper trail to track the misuse of data and to ensure accountability. So, does this paper trail exist? Not really. When asked for details about whom the data has been shared with, the NIC only provided a generic list of which categories of entities the data could be shared with, but not an actual list of entities that it had shared the data with. It also dodged a separate RTI query on whether information was being shared with intelligence agencies, which is only supposed to happen in very limited circumstances. Safeguard 2. Security practices. Any entity, government or private, with whom Aarogya Setu data is shared by the NIC is supposed to implement reasonable security practices and procedures. As India still doesn't have a data protection law, it was expected that the NIC and the Ministry of Electronics and IT would ensure there were model procedures and practices in place, especially since the app data can be shared not just with health secretaries of all states, but all the over 700 district magistrates across the country. That's a lot of people. But have they done anything of the sort? No. The NIC just shifts responsibility to the entities which have received the data and reveals that there are no model safeguards in place, meaning this safeguard has become an eyewash as well. Safeguard 3. Audit and review mechanism. Any party with whom data is shared under the protocol cannot reuse the data for any other purpose or disclose the data to any other entity. To ensure this is followed, the protocol specified that any such entity would remain subject to audit and review of their data usage by the central government. This was meant to be a major development to prevent the kind of unauthorized data sharing which happened with the Ministry of Road Transport data. So, is Aarogya Setu data being protected by this audit and review mechanism? Yet again, no. Instead, the NIC has said this RTI question is inapplicable since it shares this data with government entities. But the fact is, this audit mechanism is supposed to apply to government entities as well, including the NIC. Safeguard 4. Anonymization of data. one of the most tom-tom safeguards in the protocol was that any data shared with research organizations trying to combat COVID-19, which is a key part of the whole idea of the Aarogya Setu app, would go through a process of hard anonymization, meaning no third party would be able to identify which person the data belonged to, and would ensure privacy was not violated, even as the app data was used to its full potential. But has this been done by the government? Again, the answer is no. The RTI replies reveal that the expert committee that the government was supposed to set up to figure out how to do this hard anonymization, even that committee is still in the process of being set up. The NIC also dodged a question about what has been done to anonymize such data that's been shared till now. All this means that the data of millions of Indian citizens, 160 million till now, who signed up in good faith for the Aarogya Setu app, is essentially unprotected at this point and can be misused without any accountability. The QUINT spoke to leading cybersecurity experts such as Srinivas Kodali and Anivar Aravind, as well as digital rights lawyers like Raman Chima and Vrinda Bhandari, to understand what you should be concerned in this. You can read their concerns in our story, which is on our website. Also, here is Saurav Das, whose RTI applications have given the QUINT these major revelations, summarizing the dangers of the government's failure to implement its own safeguards.
The government not knowing what sort of security practices and procedures being put in place by second and third parties with whom our data is being shared shows how seriously it is securing our data. In 2018, the world saw one of the biggest data breaches when our Aadhaar data was leaked. That when security practices were in place. In the present case, no such procedure and practices are in place. What guarantee that our data won't be breached? Similarly, by failing to put in place an audit and review mechanism, the government is not proactively monitoring for any misuse of our data. Even anonymization protocols have not been created, so data that is being shared with third parties in an identifiable state will eventually be sold to data brokers and will be used for private commercial interests and not for public's interests. In such a situation, it's only a matter of time before something like that of Aadhaar happens with us.